Welcome to Disambiguation. I'm your host, Michael Fauscette. Each week, we interview experts in artificial intelligence, generative AI, and business automation to help business leaders understand how to use these tools for the biggest business impact. Hello, and welcome to a special edition of the Disambiguation podcast, this time from Salesforce TDX 2025 in San Francisco. Although you can tell I'm not in San Francisco right now. I am actually recording this intro after I came back. But anyway, so we're going to actually break this up into two weeks of episodes because there was so much content and a lot of really interesting opportunities to dig into different parts of AgentForce and Agentic AI and some other unique things that we'll get to. But for this episode, the first set of guests, it's actually two folks. Jacob Lehrbaum, who's the SVP of Product Marketing, and Gary Brandeleer is a VP of Product Management, and the two of them help us take a look at Salesforce overall agentic AI strategy. And then we look at some of the specific announcements that came out during the show. So if you will just hang on, we'll get to that part of the episode.
Good. If you guys want to do a quick intro, just to let everybody sort of know what you do with Salesforce and where you've been.
So I'm VP of Product at Salesforce, working on AgentForce now. And right now, I've been working a lot on the AI Assist. So what we released here at TDX. And now I'm working more on the supervised aspect of agents. So, hey, look, you build the agents, but now you need to see what it's going to do. Right? What are the interactions? How can you explore that? How can you use the data to then improve the agent efficiency? So that's what I'm working on right now.
Jacob?
Yeah, so I do what's called company messaging, which is not really a role.
It's probably a very important role.
Well, sure. I don't know. It's busy anyway. But what I get to do, it's just an incredible honor to get to learn about all the new technologies that we're building and then help tell that to help explain to people through demos, presentations, So always learning.
Great. Yeah, that's, I think considering all the stuff that I heard in the keynote this morning and all the things that were announced around, I'm sure you've been very busy. So.
Yes. I think that's the number one challenge right now is to keep up with even myself in product. I'm having a hard time to keep up between all our products, what's coming, what can we use, and so on. So it's
that's
busy.
It is very, and even just like the way things evolve quickly and general in AI, but if you think about it specifically, like I was at World Tour in New York, and I built an agent.
So
typing it, doing things. And I built an agent yesterday talking to AgentForce. It was a significant improvement and really interesting.
I mean, I don't think that our engineering teams have ever shipped this much innovation this quickly. They are. I'm not tired. They're tired.
I'm sure they are. I've never asked this question. I'm just curious. I did actually get this from Google once, but how much do they use AI in an development team right now?
I think it's like if you look at across the world, like everybody's starting to use AI.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Even like I could not answer you for engineers because I don't know. Tell me they are using it, but I don't know much. But for me, I can tell you like even in like the whole AI Assist that we released at TDX, it started with the very quickly like when we started with AgentForce, they told me as a PM, hey, create some golden utterance. Like when we ship the product, we need to be able to test the product with some utterances, problems that you think would be asked by customers. And I was like, hey guys, I can come up with 30 of them, but that's 300 as well. And so I was like, hey, I'm going to just rely to actually generate some. It was like, why are we doing this outside of the product? Let's do it inside of the product. And that's how we actually added AI Assist inside the builder, because essentially instead of going as
why would
just doing it inside the product.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And so that's the answer. Is like I think we are using it a lot, and then we are realizing maybe actually you can put it also inside the product directly. And we're building AgentForce hundreds of use cases inside Salesforce. What we talk about a lot is help.salesforce.com. So we relatively built this agentic layer in some of our support organizations. People can come to
help site. They can ask questions rather than sifting through 700,000 articles, and then they can just get an answer. And sometimes, they maybe need a little bit more detail, and so we just hand it off to a human support engineer, and then that person can go a little bit deeper. It's really good.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, and I've seen some of those stats, and they're pretty amazing.
Yeah.
The amount of call volume that's being analyzed by the agents. So
That's right.
The stat I was joking about was being that they admit that 25% of the code now is written with AI.
Yeah.
And I suspect that's low. That's for the signal. So so the real number may be more. I don't know.
Yeah. There's a number I heard, I think it was sometime maybe 6 months ago or so, something like, I think we're having AI helping with a lot of a test code. It's one of the use cases. It's really good. And then also, I think I heard that it's about a 29, close to 30% productivity movement. That's what we're seeing.
But I think it goes even further than this. You were saying that you tried that experience where you speak, set up the agent.
Yeah, that was a big.
Which, by the way, is my team building it, so I'm happy that you liked it.
That was
and I was thinking like, but what is this exactly? And yeah, it's AI helping you to build, right? But it's also the story of like, in fact, it's kind of, you have a solution engineer working with you. You still need the human solution engineer to actually do the development and so on for you, of course. But yeah, I'm like, hey, in fact, that's what we are putting in our product now. Like the best practices, the learnings you can get from a SE or from a technical architect. Right. We can also put it in the product so that you can get the coaching by an AI. And so I think that's really more also a way to see how we at Salesforce using AI. We probably use it to generate a bit of code, generate a couple of PRDs or whatever. But it's also like we are using it to scale our impact and our best practices that we give to customers. Which is pretty interesting when you think we are in the same place.
Well, I mean, honestly, I when I first started my I planned last year to add a couple more analysts to the team.
Yeah.
But after I started using AI as a research assistant, I was like, I can scale myself more for a while. I don't need the extra people because it does, in fact, increase your productivity so much that it's amazing to me. Yeah.
Yes.
And it has really been a big help. I guess we should ask the questions, but there's an interesting conversation, I think, just to get an idea for the feel of how things have gone there.
Yeah.
But tell me a little more about Agentic AI, AgentForce, and kind of the overall Salesforce vision. Where do you think this is? Where is it now? Where's it going?
You want to start?
Yeah, happy to start. I mean, going back to what you just said about you're starting this firm and you're thinking about how do I grow it? Yeah, I think what we're really seeing out there is that there's a labor shortage. It's hard for people to hire. And then, of course, there's small businesses that are trying to grow, and it's really just hard to hire.
Yeah.
So what we really see is this opportunity of digital labor, and how can we bring agents into our businesses so that the humans and the agents, like we like to say, drive success together.
Right.
It's a couple of things. And it's what Gary was just saying about bringing that expertise across your business, also delivering instant expertise to your customers. When maybe you're a medical company and, or a customer wants to call and get some advice, but, our doctors are very busy. They don't have a lot of time. And you can give instant advice to any field right there through your website. And the best thing is that there's no old time. You don't have to wait to talk.
Right.
And so we can augment these employees. We can provide this instant expertise, the zero build time. And what's great is that all of us, we just think about all the work that we do every single day. It's just routine. It's not the impact we want to drive.
Right.
Actually, about 40% of the work that we all do is routine work. And this is what leads people to burnout. It's when you're spending your time on this routine stuff, not delivering the impact you need. This is really the opportunity we see to bring us digital labor services.
Well, I love the idea of digital workforce. I think that, digital labor makes so much sense to think of it that way, because then you do start to think about, how do I manage this? How do I manage the collaboration? How do I, make this function across these different internal functions? It's a thought process that I think is important now, because you really are hiring agents to do this, right? Or, maybe it's, you make this very exchange, using the easily exchange, right? Maybe you're hiring somebody else's agents, but from a paradigm message and a perspective, to me, it makes it much easier for the companies to put in.
And maybe I'll just a quick customer story. Now, Gary, I'll jump in. We have one customer at Hacko, and what Hacko is doing, they're one of the largest recruiting firms in the world, and they get millions of resumes all the time, and it's impossible to follow up with all of them. And now, be able to do is use agents to look at the CVs, to analyze them and pass them off to a human so that they'll follow up on it. What this means, though, is that they're able to get back to people right away, rather than submitting an application and you've got that dream job, you're looking forward to someone getting back to you, but then you're met with silence. Now you get that call back. It's incredible as to their. Well, it also is a brand. It's and you hear this all the time. Like, I applied to this, big company, whatever, and they didn't even tell me no. Like, I didn't tell me anything. And it's a volume problem, and we understand that. But if you're the guy on the other end waiting for them, this is important to me. An answer. It's hard. It really does brand.
And the customer expectation in general are raising. Like, if you look at the next generation, it's more and more like, look, faster answers, direct answers.
Yes.
So that as well is very hard to handle. And to add a little bit of more technical aspect of where we are going, I think right now, even still at TDX now, you see it a bit more because we released the APIs for the agent. So now you see that shifts a little bit more. But so far it was a lot of, hey, look, you have customer facing agents. You have, say, 8,000 emails. I think more and more we are going to see, it's actually, that's the first agents that are easy to think of, like, hey, general FAQ, they can answer questions and so on. I think what is really interesting is to start to think about the agents that can do tasks that you would not do, speaking, and it's really behind the scene. And an example of that would be if you have an agent that you could say, hey, look, you go on the web and you search whatever, I have an opportunity, and my opportunity amount increase or decrease, you go search on the web what is happening for this company, you summarize the news, and then you look if with someone at the company I should speak to, and then you tell me about it. These tasks that you could do, 5-6 tasks that you execute as an agent, that then the human can say, hey, look, you should get an appointment with that person. And so these are use cases that I think are going to appear more and more. It's actually the use cases where you don't really see the conversation. It's very visual, it demos very well. But in fact, the reality is that there will be many agents that are going to work for you.
Right.
And then pop up information that you need to be effective as a UN.
Yeah, we did a live show during the keynote, and we were talking about some different things. And one of the things that because again, I think we're just going to see a lot of disruption in education and the way we use things.
Yeah.
But I just had this idea. It's like, okay, well, if I was using agents across my business in the mornings, you open up your computer, and instead of checking email, doing all this, go like that. LinkedIn or whatever, right? You've got agents that go, okay, check the email, sort it, get rid of the spam, put all the newsletters in a folder, and highlight those client emails that I need to answer today, and then draft an answer response that I'll approve. Yes. I mean, how much time did that save?
Yes.
Or even like for the podcast, when I do interviews, I do a profile of the person, and then I go, here's the subject, generate a certain question.
Yes.
And then I take the questions. It would have taken me 3-4 hours to generate good questions. And now 15 minutes, I'm edited them. Then I have my interview, which is amazing. If you think about the amount of time over, like I said, I've done 80 shows. How much time have I saved by doing that? Tons of time. And you don't really think about it until you think of the breadth of all those little things that it could be real.
Yeah. Now imagine not just researching the questions, but then being able to contact the people you want to talk to, schedule the appointment, and get everything all set up. Even get the brief up.
Yeah. See, that's the next level, and I think that is the next step. And it's definitely something that I think I can see for small business or for any business, but for small business, talk about a game changer for what they do is the amount of productivity they can do with the resources they have. It's incredible. But, so we're talking a lot about the automation and the agent, but one of the things I hear a lot is, but how do they work with teams? How does this work? I've got both workforces. I've got a digital workforce and I've got a human workforce, and I want them to work together. So how does AgentForce, how do you guys think about that, and how have you set that up so that it does feel more flat?
I think we started pretty early with this concept of industrial worlds, right? Where, hey, look, at the end of the day, you have some generic features where you have been working all the time. So if you are using Salesforce, why should you go to another tool? that's one. But I think more and more the way I see it as well is with AgentForce 2.0, we released agents that could be shown in Slack. And I think that's something that we'll see more and more is like when you think about it, where do you interact with people the most right now? At least when I'm working at Salesforce, it's on Slack, right? And so I'm chatting with plenty of people, and I'm honestly spending much more of my time there than actually face-to-face in meetings and so on. It's like literally I'm in Slack all day long. And I think the agents are going to pop up there as well, and you will not really see a difference between human on Slack or an agent on Slack. And then you can actually put them in channels really well. So, and I think this kind of interaction, this collaboration are going to be very interesting to have, and we'll get used to that much faster than we think. And an example of that, and then I'll take a completely different example. I'm seeing more and more companies that I've been dealing with that have note takers in Zoom or Google Meets or wherever. These note takers are agents. We don't really think about it, but you collaborate with them in some ways. They don't reply to you yet, but they take notes. And I think that's the next collaboration you see more and more. You will just see them appear wherever you do work. Right. And it's like quotes and so.
Well, they changed a lot too, because I had one note-taking app that I used for a while, and then I started playing around with different ones. And now the one I have now is a proactive note base. It's not just exactly taking notes when I tell it to. It actually the calendar. It says, "Do you want me in this one? This one I know you don't. I do." And at the end, it goes, "Here are 5 action items for you. Here's 5 you can send to the community attendees." Like all those things. That's so much more time that it. And you don't even think about. We should be further. Like with our customers right now is most of your agents start with something basic, but that's working. It's safe. Go for general FAQ. You might have the knowledge article already. Go. Then it's reactive. You get the agent to react to whatever you ask and so on. And then you have proactive. Yes.
If you push it a bit further, your note taker can actually give you actions. Right. Could also give actions to the agent itself that will proactively go and reach out to. We said we should reach out to that person. I already sent or prepared the email for him. Do you want? Yeah, that is it. Exactly. Yeah. So that's the type of collaboration you can expect.
Well, and that really does start to change the way that you interact with those agents, right? Because you can start to see immediate value across all these different disciplines.
Yeah. I want to add a little bit too. So you asked about how do we see the collaboration? And for us, the way we built AgentForce is very unique because we built it as this deeply unified platform with our data cloud. So all the data that's inside about our content, our service cases, our marketing campaigns, it's all inside our data cloud. Yeah. And AgentForce can use it just like and it's right within our application. So it's our data cloud, it's our applications, our agents, all together in one unified system. That's incredible. Like think about that help Salesforce help example, where a customer comes to our website, they're reading one of our knowledge, maybe they read a knowledge article, they're not quite finding what they want, so they ask AgentForce. AgentForce gives an answer, and it's pretty good. They have a follow-up, and maybe it gets past the point where AgentForce can really help, and AgentForce can then hand it over to a human, right? And so that human support engineer can see the complete history and knowledge about so we're working the same applications together. It's really the humans and the agents working together inside so I think that's, and then surfacing through Slack, as Gary was saying. I think it's an incredible paradigm where it really feels like the agent has joined our team and you're just having a conversation with them. It's pretty fun.
Yeah, and it's interesting because I wrote a couple of years ago something about Slack and how I think, and we use that. I use it. We use it in a couple other places I've worked. And I do think you start to think of it more like a business operating system. And
yes, that's right.
Because it really is across all sorts of different activities, much easier way to interact with systems and people, but not just people.
And I think that it's I would push it further. I think it's a workplace.
Yeah.
It's like more and more it's going to be the workplace where you spend time. So I'm spending quite a bit of time in Slack. And the fact that you will have agents will probably make it that you work even more.
Right.
That's right.
So yeah, that makes sense. Well, so a lot of it now to at TDX. So why don't we jump into that a little bit, because I don't want to run out of time. Yeah, actually go through. There's so much stuff that came out, but there are a few things that jumped out to me. And I guess one of them, and this is something that I think Salesforce has done so well for years, that the whole Trailblazer idea, how it built this community, and it's really helped a lot of people to get into roles they wouldn't have been able to, et cetera. And now I saw the announcement that you're talking about AgentBlazers.
Yes, right.
And I know you have some pretty lofty goals. So
1 million agent plays.
okay, that's the number I was thinking of. Yeah, yeah. So I mean, that's pretty amazing. But what if you set? That's just that community. But how does this work across partners and like all of those things to build that community? Have people around they do?
Yeah, I can happily jump in. Yeah, so I mean, this is going to be a huge journey, for instance, for our community. In the keynote, if you saw her, if any of your guests on that listen to your program side, she did an incredible job talking about how and the world is changing, the way we work is changing, the way apps is changing. We all need to learn. About into this future together. And we did a little focus group for this library. We always do focus group our keynotes, and I thought that the number one item was going to be about our developer edition or the Agent Exchange and our great announcements.
Yeah.
But what the audience told us that they liked most more than anything was learning. All the content on Trailhead, the new credentials, they all see this opportunity, but they want to learn. So we throw events like this, but we're also bringing developer experiences for AgentForce and every single one of the tours. We announced this global TDX series where we're going to bring it to Bangalore, to Tokyo, to London. We're doing hackathons with our customers, but also at events like this, we just did 100,000.
Yeah, I saw that's amazing.
And so it's a combination of how do we create this community around it, which is the AgentBlazer, the content, which we're putting on Trailhead, which is free, but then also we're building a product too. So we're investing an incredible amount of tools like our free developer edition, the Agent Exchange to bring the ecosystem together. It's really that triad, the trifecta of the content, the community, and the product that we're so.
I think on the partner side, because you're asking on the partner side, the Agent Exchange combined with AgentBlazers, I think we are going to get a lot of use cases that people didn't really think about. That's right. And that's something I was quite surprised. So that still now, I see many customers figuring out or trying to figure out what are the use cases they can cover. They don't really realize, oh, wait, you can do this, but you can also pour this. And I think the more people are thinking about it, the more partners are adding like topics, actions, and so on, and the Agent Exchange that will unlock like, oh, wait, what if you would use that technology like this or like this? Yeah. And I think that's really, really valuable. Well, and some of it really is that, right? If I have some mod weekend and I go, oh, it does that, I didn't think about that. And oh, why if it does that, then I'm probably help it. Exactly. These things, right? So that's but that's a really good point, which is that this is such a new way of working at building software that part of it is imagination. That how do we learn? How do we teach people what is AgentForce do? How are the different ways we build something? I think the customer stories that we tell, free the hackathon, which is something people that just try. Yeah, they do get hands. Right? You just have to try. Yes, you did. I meant to ask you. I think I qualified some of it. No, because I already said it yesterday. So nice. Congrats. If you get your hoodie, we'll get you. My hoodie's on the way up there. Okay, so you kind of brought me to another place that I've heard some conversations around. There's now a lot of conversations around and of how Agentic AI particularly is starting to disrupt, develop, the applications. And so what do you think the impact Agentic AI in general on how we build the application? Yeah, so that is definitely close to my chest. Like, look, we did at Dreamforce. So the story is like 3-4 weeks before Dreamforce, I got asked like, hey, can we get people to come and get an agent live as soon as they do a consultation? I was like, well, at that stage, the product was not even yet sold. It was not yet even GA. So I'm like, I'm not sure we can do that. Yeah. But we can do maybe something special, which is you will be able to speak to a Slack agent. Ooh. So back to the story of, hey, where do you collaborate? We had a Slack agent. We could speak to it. It was not speaking back to you. So it was not speech to speech, but it was speech to text. And you could say, hey, look, my issues are this. I want to do appointment booking. I want to cover this kind of use case and so on. And then it was generating the agent for you directly in your own. And many people were like mind blown. And the learnings we had was one, agent building agents is really the way to go. Like there is, especially when the code is English text, it's like instructions. You can really ask very easily, like the agent what to
write the instructions for you, and then you can review them. So that was one. The second part was voice as a UX is starting to be very real. I have a French accent. I'm from Belgium. And the story though is, I've been using Siri for years. It didn't work so well for me. Now I'm seeing these tools are working more now. And like the voice is really starting to be a real UX now that you can use a new interaction. And the third part was we can really use the agents to guide and ideate use cases, which is kind of where people are right now. It's like, well, I have many use cases, but I don't know, or because many pains, I don't know how to translate it into technologies. And so, I push it a bit further from that the reinforce experience that we did, our experiments that we did. We got now in the product AI Assist. So right now, if you go in your org and you go in Agent Builder, you will see more and more like, hey, I have AI assistants. I can actually rewrite instructions. So that's coming from our learnings from that. We have web search. So we added web search inside for answer questions with knowledge, which is also something we learned from that experiment. Yeah. And then the last piece is we did that new prototype that you actually tried, where it's not speech to text anymore, it's speech to speech. Yeah. And I've been using that app a lot because I was testing it for this event. And more and more, I was like, hey, this is really amazing because it's the first time you can ask something. The fact that you have somebody replying to you, like that it's not just chat, you don't have to read it, and it's very fast. It's like, hey, no, I'm not about appointment booking. I want something else. I want to do product inquiries, for example. Okay, let me revise this. And so you feel like, oh, I'm getting listened to. I have somebody that is listening to me, coaching me on my use case, tweaking the technical aspect for me automatically, but I don't have to know about all the technicalities. And I think that's really, really where we go. It's like more and more. I think anyone should be able to build an agent, and you don't have to be technical. And the last part of this as well is, I'm looking at how we use agent at Salesforce. We are, of course, already using a lot of agents, even like many internal agents that you will never see, but we are using a lot for different reasons. And I'm like, but we need more. And we cannot always go back to the IT team and say, hey, IT, you have a backlog of like already all kind of stuff you need to do. And now you have even more that you need to do because now we are asking for agents. Right. So I think we really need to find a way to say, no, the business user, the business people, they want a teammate. They want somebody to help them, give the use case, maybe provide the data even. And then from there, once you are 90% ready, give that to IT. And then IT will do the 10% remaining of polishing and say, no, up to its survey, to add the security level, permission set, someone else. Right. But that should help at being able to actually deploy this much faster. Yeah. If being able to extremely know it's really clear. Yeah, that's a big deal. Even when I was doing that yesterday, working in the builder and it's active. Yeah. The thing that I liked is there were things I didn't really thought through as agent, but it was asking me things, and I was like, yeah, that's okay. Let's do that. And you say, I didn't think about that. Yeah. But, so it's not only just the acting, it's actually posing, which is different. Right. One other thing I want to add to that, Gary talked earlier about quality maturity model, and there's sort of three phases, and I think it would take on a journey. The first is sort of interactive conversation that you have. It answers questions. The second is it can do some work for you. You ask it to you send an email, actually send the email. Let's take action. By the way, not all the agent solution stuff there can even take action. I think that's pretty important. Right. But the third step is really around as proactive. Being able to suggest things and can raise. And one of the big changes that we're seeing, think about how applications have got your data, your logic, your UI. What we're seeing now is that the agent can bring this non-deterministic capability into the logic where you don't have to hard code all the rules, everything you want them to do. Now you're sort of giving these instructions or guidance or teaching the agent what you wanted to accomplish, the outcomes you want, and it can think through the best way to accomplish it. And it can monitor for maybe some data changes in your system, or maybe it'll be triggered with an API, and it can spring to action to figure out the best plan or for how to execute that task. It's a completely just way to have solved. It's after this really thinking and deciding to do things on its own. Of course, there's guardrails. Of course, you want to have humans in the loop behind these rules, but it's pretty hard to change. I sort of think of it like a trust realms. In a business, right? You have your trust line is here, and you have it do certain things, and open.
gain trust so that once we can move up, we're constant and now see alternative. Yes, because now I trust in most. Yes, as it was. And actually, a lot of the mistakes that start in the free, the use AgentForce inside their business, where it's cool that it's maybe less brand risks, but we're also seeing customers, they start internal, then they bring in external. So that's a really good pattern too, is what are the ways of your employees and how do you protect your customers too? Unless you build that trust, right?
Yeah, that's really, really interesting. And I know there are a couple other announcements that we mentioned, like the developer edition. You announced this one, the free developer edition, which I think goes along with Trailblazer, AgentBlazer, all these ideas again. Because cap to drive it. That's really,
Drive adoption is really like go try. I think that's the big difference between thinking about building apps. Like normally you go, like, get your requirements, then code is expensive, so make sure that your requirements are really, really good. Then only let's maybe do a small prototype. So then we go, then more and more say, hey, look, if you want an agent, just go build it. And by building it, you will be like, no, actually, I don't want it to ask the email address or the phone number as the first question. You want something else before. Okay, let's go tweak it. At that stage, you're tweaking instructions, you're tweaking topics. It's not crazy expensive to actually change that. And so that's along to me the message as well. It's like, hey, try faster. Because if you go into, hey, let's gather requirements for 4 months, and then let's think about the agent that we are going to use. I guarantee you 4 months from now, there is many things that will have changed. So just go fast and be agile, learn, try new things. And sometimes you will be successful, sometimes not.
I mean, it really is like an idea. Like, it's just that we've used software for years.
Yes.
Get a product out there, let people use it.
Exactly.
And that's the same thing with agencies.
And funny that you use the word refine, because I'm very big on that one, which is, if you look at right now there is in the keynote, I was pretty happy because the slides that was shown, which is basically ideate, configure, test, deploy, and they used observe, but I want that word to be supervised. The story though, yeah, that's the feedback. No, it's from today. It's literally from today. I was like, actually we should. But that slide, the first time, it was actually me creating the virtual circle. And I was like, that virtual circle, we are what is the agent development lifecycle.
Yes.
But it's not actually development. It's refinement. It's really the story of like, you come and you set up a topic, you set an instruction, and it's working, maybe. And then you see, well, it's been working pretty okay on my website, but I'm getting some feedback that questions about account management are not well answered. But you're not going to wait 5 months to change this. You should go the day after, go tweak, maybe add a few knowledge article, tweak a few instructions, and refine. It's minor changes, but refinement will make perfect. Yeah, and that's, I think, really what we need to create.
Well, I think it is interesting. Development only is so different than how parent would handle it. Develop, right?
Yeah.
Somebody sitting in the closet writing code versus I'm having an interaction with a thing that's useful necessarily.
Yes.
And over time, I can refine it as he does clear as I know what I want it to do, what I don't want it to do. That was exactly really impressive. Well, unfortunately, we're running out of time. But because I keep going, which wow, this is really interesting.
I have a session I need to give.
I probably, and I probably missed on the one wonders. But I'm curious. I always ask at the end of the if you have some sort of recommendation for the audience, an author, a thought leader, something that you think would be good for them to follow, so that they could learn more about it.
There is a book I've read, and it's really hard for me to pronounce, so you'll have to pronounce it for me. But it's a world. So the wall without work, from Daniel Susskind. And I think it's interesting. I think the ideas proposed are not always the one I would propose, because there's a lot of, how do we deal with that change? How does government come and try to help with that change? And I'm more on the side of able to give more people autonomy. So, that everybody's different, but that I think more and more humans should be much more autonomous, rely a bit less on government actually. But all in all, it's very interesting to see that book, because it was written before LLMs were really popular. And so it's really interesting because big changes are going to appear. And you're like, well, they're appearing already. And in the book, it's like, well, maybe in 10 years. And you're like, no, they're happening right now. And the book was written, I think, 3 years ago. And so very interesting to read that book and get a couple of ideas about what we should do as a civilization with the technologies.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, thank you both so much. I really appreciate you taking the time. It's Gary, Jacob. It's a very good conversation. Really enjoyed it. And I know the audience enjoyed too. So thank you.
A pleasure.
Yeah, please.
And hopefully you enjoyed that part of the episode. And we do have one more bit for you that I pulled together on the show floor, something that I saw that was really interesting. And one of my old friends, Charlie Isaacs, who's the CTO for Customer Connect at Salesforce, had set up a really interesting demonstration. And so we'll take a look at that. But just to set that up, basically the idea was, could we use AgentForce and Agentic AI to drive robotics? So I won't talk about that any more than that introduction, but let's take a look. All right, welcome back to our coverage here at TDX. I'm here with Charlie Isaacs, and we're going to take a look at a new novel use case for AgentForce. So I'll let Charlie introduce himself, and then why don't you talk us through what you're going to show, and then we'll take a look.
That sounds great. Hey, I'm Charlie Isaacs. I'm CTO for Customer Connection, and my role here is to work with customers and determine what their vision should be for the future, which could also be the immediate future, meaning like anywhere between 2 weeks and 2 years from now.
I thought you were going to say 10 years, but 2 years is good.
2 years is a long time for us, right? Because we pretty much can build their vision and accomplish their use case on our platform quickly and easy in a rapid prototype fashion.
Right.
And it's really easy to do, and you'll see why when you see this demo
Nice.
of what we're calling the Agentic Robotic Operating System, or AgentForce Robotic Operating System, or even Robot Force. And
Robot Force, I like that.
that's
I like
right.
that.
And what we've done here, I think, is extremely unique, and I don't think any other company could do this, because we have the ability to, using AgentForce, build generic functionality. Each one of these robots we've integrated 3 different types of robots here at this booth, and we have a 4th one coming next week. Spoiler alert, I'm not going to mention the name of the vendor, but right here at the booth we have we're showing Unitary robots, and we also have a Cobalt robot, which is a Salesforce on Salesforce use case where they're patrolling our tower in Seattle and here in San Francisco,
nice.
and they look for open doors.
Yeah.
And the use case next door is a coffee spill. But here at this booth, we've had 2 different types of robots. We had a dog. We currently have a dog, which you're going to see in a minute. And we had a humanoid, which unfortunately took a spill yesterday.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. We ran it too hard.
Humans are not predictable. I mean,
That's right. It got very tired.
Well, I mean, it's a lot of work out here.
But the 2 different robots had different operating systems. I mean, they had the same operating system, but they had different code bases. So we had an SDK that was a Python SDK, and the other one had a C++ SDK. So you need the ability to perform the functions and generate the functionality from something like AgentForce and take it up a level, and then orchestrate everything from above. So in our booth here, we have a windmill, which is talking to AgentForce. We have a robot that's talking to AgentForce through that layer that I was talking about.
Right.
And we have, of course, AgentForce on the back end in 2 different Salesforce orgs, because everything's connected through MuleSoft. So all the API interaction is going into MuleSoft, including the windmill, so we can see all the sensor data from the robot, the windmill, everything. So I think it's a really cool and unique
I mean, it's a great IoT edge kind of use case that I think we haven't really talked about much, because a lot of this has been, how do I take an agent and have it do my email, or do things for me, be an SDR or whatever, right? But this is a real world idea that says, you get on the edge where it's very different, disconnected, often, you've got actions you could take, you've got sensor data you could use if you had a way to pull it in and actually use it, right?
Exactly. And so the original use case was, there was going to be a factory sitting here on this table it was like a Lego factory, right? But it was damaged in shipment. So we had to pivot at the last minute. And instead of telling, you're going to see this in a minute, Henry's going to go fix the windmill, okay? So we're going to have a pump failure in the factory, or a belt failure, or forklift failure, right? That was
so some sort of shop floor problem. And,
exactly. And imagine having one factory that's trivial. Any human can manage that, right?
Right.
Imagine having 1,000 of the same factory, or 100 of the same factory with tens of thousands of robots. You need a central orchestration layer, or something like AgentForce that can control that. So when the factory broke in shipment, we pivoted to a windmill.
I mean, a windmill out here is a great use case, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you drive a little ways out of the city, you're going to see lots of them. So.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So all we had to do was add a single instruction at the end of AgentForce, instead of saying, when the pump breaks, send Spot to fix it, or send Henry to fix it.
Right.
We added one instruction that says, forget everything you know about the factory. And we didn't have to change the instruction. We said, this is now a windmill. And one line.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And it saved hours of, could you imagine having to reprogram all that stuff?
Oh, yeah, that would take forever.
Yeah.
I mean, having to write all the code to actually make it do and switch, and you've got all sorts of different outcomes from the use cases, a lot of inputs. Wow, that's amazing.
Exactly.
It's exciting. I mean, like I said, I've seen a lot of interesting use cases, but because I am, obviously IoT is something I'm very interested in, and I think from this perspective, it shows field service in a completely different way, which I think is exciting.
Yeah, and so you not only have field service, right? You're going to see cases being created, work orders being recommended to the human. So this is human assisted. And so since we have a deeply unified platform, you can take all of this information and orchestrate it, and it gets orchestrated in Data Cloud. So we have calculated insights running in the background on Data Cloud that's doing things like how many send Henry commands to fix the windmill do we get? How many pump failure commands do we send? So that's calculating all those insights, plus it's feeding in sensor data into Data Cloud. And we have a Slack channel, which you won't see on the screen. We ran out of screens. We were going to have like 5 screens. We'd have to show Tableau. We'd have to show Slack, Data Cloud, right? We already have over there, you can't see out of the camera, but we have our planner scrolling all of the behind the scenes reasoning going on in AgentForce, so everybody can see it's real.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's really exciting. I think, we're excited to see it. So why don't I stop this and switch to the different mode, and then we'll take a look.
And I talk with
Hello, my name is Julia Reguera. I am a service solution engineer here at Salesforce. And right now we're about to see how our robot Henry here is going to fix our turbine here on the right with the power of Service Cloud, Field Service, AgentForce, Data Cloud, and MuleSoft. So let's get started. We can see our Lego wind turbine. It's a normal day, it's working, but let's say that lightning strikes. And unfortunately, our turbine is going to stop working. And there we go. So unfortunately, the turbine is not working anymore. But luckily, you can see in our service console here, we've already received a signal from that windmill that something is wrong. And so here is my agent service console, and I've already received the case, and I'm going to click into it. And instead of having to read through this case and see all the details and the assets, I'm just going to ask AgentForce to summarize the case for me. And so because AgentForce is grounded in all of my CRM data, it's going to pull all the relevant pieces of information that I need to resolve this case as quickly as possible. So we can see who the case owner is, who the contact is, everything I need to resolve that case is there. And AgentForce can go even further than that by also completing actions. So I'm going to ask it to create a work order. And now we're going to assign it to our robot, Henry. And if you go to the left-hand screen here, our agent builder is going to use our reasoning engine to send a signal to Robot Henry to go and fix that broken turbine. So let's go see Henry fix our turbine.
I'm going to fix the windmill. I'm so proud of myself. I fixed the windmill.
And if you see, our windmill is now working. So let's give Henry a round of applause.
I'm returning to home.
And if we refresh our case, it's now been closed. So you can see how with the power of not just Service Cloud, but also Field Service, AgentForce, MuleSoft, and Data to send the information to Henry, we fixed our turbine.
That's awesome. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So thank you all for joining today. Look forward to next week, which is the second episode in the Salesforce TDX series. I think you will also find that very interesting. We certainly dig into a lot of the different parts of AgentForce and Agentic AI. So hopefully I'll see you here next week. Thank you for joining. And that's the show for this week. Thank you all for joining us. Remember to like, share, and subscribe to the show. If you enjoy the show, please leave us a review to help others find us. For more research on AI and other software, check out arianresearch.com. If you're an expert in AI, generative AI, or business automation, either as a provider or an end user, email your information to disambiguation@arianresearch.com. Don't forget to join us next week. Disambiguation is an Arian Research production. I'm Michael Fauscette, and this is the Disambiguation Podcast.